Hi, welcome to Foreigner in the Philippines. On the subject of money, everybody's favorite subject, I think. Well, let me just try and explain how we have managed to survive, how we managed to get everything done. It's something which I'm not any great mathematician. I don't hold figures in my head. I'm more an artist. I'm more on the creative side. Not that making money happen in the right way and being spent in the right way is not creative, but this falls under Beth's expertise, and that's why she is always the one who does accounting. And so anybody that's familiar with our videos and our channel and the work we do knows that at the end of every job that we do, we have an accounting, and we show who gave what and how it was spent, and wherever possible we show receipts. So if we go to Ambicon and have a delivery of materials for every job, which obviously we have to have, then we show a receipt for that. This is for the future too. It's not just for the present and for people who are trusting us to use money wisely. It's also for the future, because sometimes I wonder how many of us can remember what we did at 12 o'clock last Tuesday or last Monday, and it's not many. That's why people keep diaries and logs and stuff like that. Well, that's why we do videos, not just to say thank you to the people that contributed to making any given project happen, right? But in a way which records on video exactly what we did and when we did it. So that's why we do it. That's why we show ourselves as having done such and such a thing on such and such a day, and where it happened within the project. So first thing, we put the story up. We put the story up about what we're about to try to do. Like right now, we're in the middle of raising money to do house 28. That's a family of 9 with 6 children, and we'd like them to get them into a secure, dry, especially with the rains coming up in the middle of this year. So that's what we're doing right now. Well, for the people who are touched by that, they will send money in, and what we ask people to do, I say this over and over again, we ask them to say, I want you to spend on this. I want this money to go to this project. Recently, one family who like to be called M&M, they actually financed the entire cost of the leaning house, or the replacement of the leaning house, and that family of kids, and they've since done other stuff and are tremendous supports in more ways than just financial. So we show what we've done. Now here's what may seem like a contradiction, because if you look at our problems with the Big Blue, well, with both of our trucks, it's costing money, believe me. You can't take it down and leave it with a mechanic and say, can you do this as a favor? So it's costing money all the time. Money. Now we have a Patreon account which is pledged to us every month by people who want to support our work. Well, part of our work is to try to get our transport and keep it on the road so that we can make deliveries of materials when we build houses and all of that, take people to hospital, just do all of the work that we do. We need to have reliable transport. It hasn't been happening lately, but it does seem like we might be getting there eventually. Now, you might be asking yourself, how can it be that you don't have the money to get, say, a repair done? Or if you're looking at videos and you're looking at the tires on our trucks and you see one that doesn't look so healthy, and you say, well, why don't you do that? Or why don't you get more shock absorbers, or an extra leaf spring, or you you know, people come up with all kinds of suggestions. They're all good suggestions and they're appreciated, but sometimes we just don't have the cash to do that. We will have it. We are earning money. We're not really what you would call hard up. I have 2 pensions, very modest pensions, okay? So nobody liked me saying that they're a disgrace to pensions, but it was true in a way, in a fun kind of way. So we have that. If everything else fails, we can live on those. But we also, obviously, we have earnings, once again, modest earnings, and these are not a secret. You can go to Social Blade and you can find out what anybody is predicted to be earning for the coming year. Social Blade tells all. Now, you can do that. So then we have money coming in from generous supporters who are following us, and while they may not be like Eminem and be able to finance an entire house, they can send a couple of bucks on Patreon, and that's a huge help. So how do we separate all of these things? We have different amounts which we put away, and it's designated for a particular project, and an accurate account is kept by Beth on what we have spent on every project. Now, if a project is ongoing, like House 28 is ongoing, we actually have ordered, we went out and paid, I think it was 12 or 13,000 on the first part of the materials, and that was today. So we start that. We don't have enough money to do the house. It's going to come to around 60,000, 70,000. So we've started it on what we call a leap of faith. But the money that's designated for that is set aside, and Beth has this ability to be able to keep these separate amounts separate. Now, I remember at one time, certainly in my family, we didn't have, back in my childhood, we'd have the jam jar method, and this jam jar, right, this is one jam jar, and that would contain the money that we'd saved for the gas bill or the electricity bill, and then the other one would be for the rent, and then the other one would be for, you get the picture. So we'd have the jam jar, but we would have the things in separate containers, and that's what we do right now. So it is quite possible to have, in the case of our road project, we have, I think, 150,000 pesos, courtesy and kindness of the shepherd, and that is for the road. We do not touch that for anything but the road, and in having that discipline, we are able to go tomorrow and we will have the money to do that project. So whoever sends whatever, it's designated for a certain help project, and we keep them all separate. And in doing that, never borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, we never get in difficulties. When I was a contractor in the UK, one of the dangers of being a contractor, trying to cut prices as low as you could to keep your guys working, is that a contractor would, let's just imagine the figures. So he's quoted 50,000, whatever, 50,000 bananas if you like. He's quoted 50,000 for a given project, Project A. Now, as Project A comes near completion, he may be running quite short. If he's cut things to the bone, he may be running short of money. So the temptation was, and what many people did, was they went to Project B and they took from the deposit that had been paid on that, and they settled the final accounting on Project A. And this is what's called, back then it was called overtrading, and in other ways it was called foolishness because you never catch up. lots of different ways of handling that. I knew of one contractor who always budgeted in, once he had his figure that he needed to earn on a job to be able to come out, pay everybody, pay all the bills, and still have a profit. What he used to do was he used to put in, say, £500 or £1,000 on top of everything that he knew had to be met. Then at the end of the job, when things were slowing down, we would have, in England they called it a snagging list. I think in America they call it a punch list, and that's all of those tiny little things that the customer has come forward and said, well, you haven't done this, or there's a catch on the window in the back room that's not fitting, it needs a new one, or there's a door in the kitchen that is not opening and closing properly. And what this guy would do is he would get to the point where he was ready to leave, all the major stuff has been done, and it was just the punch list or the snagging list. He'd go to the customer and say, look, that snagging list, how about it's just something and nothing. You'll be able to get a local do-it-yourself guy to come in, and he won't charge more than about £300 or £400. So why don't I leave you £500, and you just get those things handled when you're ready? And usually the customer would say, all they would hear would be £500 or £1,000, which would be in their pocket. So they would say, sure, okay. And the contractor would go away happy, and the customer would believe that he'd had a good deal. That's how it was done. So for us, we don't get ourselves in trouble on that. That's why right at the beginning we said, whatever comes in for one project stays in one project, with the proviso, as we always tell those people who have given a gift for a particular project, we always tell them, if anything is left over from project A, we will put it on project B. So sometimes, if we've done really well, which is often the case with the Superman team because they are incredible workers, and we might end up with 500 or 600 pesos left over. Well, that goes right on to paying anything on the next project, and it's worked very well for us so far. So that was just a little putting you in the know for how things are done, and answering a possible question that you might have for how do they keep everything separate. Well, the reason for that is this lady that is messing about behind me. Where are you, honey? Beth.
What?
Can you come? What? Can you come here? So,
what?
So she is the one that keeps everything straight on the finances, and I attend to other things. Don't I?
It's not easy.
No, you're wonderful.
No, it's not.
Oh, yes,
It's
you
just
are.
a matter that every time there's a money out, or it's just.
What do you mean, money out? Went out for coffee or what?
No, when the money was being spent, I'll put it right away to the note that this is where it goes. So that at the end of the...
even I don't understand that.
Now, for example, I pay the workers. I write at the end of the night, at the end of the day and night, I write it away. I noted the receipt. I noted, or I bought something. I noted, because when time comes that I'm going to total it, I'll know why is it this amount came up.
Right, so we just keep all our receipts,
Yeah.
which is good bookkeeping, isn't it? And you make notes as well.
Yeah, I make notes.
But we know pretty well what we pay out in wages anyway, don't we?
Yeah,
If it's
600 a day.
If it's a 5-day house, which we're managing to do often now, sometimes 3- and 4-day houses, and we know that that a certain amount will be labor.
Yeah, it's more labor and the material. So I tried to explain to to our team that, you know, whatever leftover materials, it goes to other house.
Oh, you mean if there's any physical leftovers?
Yeah, physical leftover goes to
like
other
wood
house.
or corrugated iron.
Gravel,
cladding.
sand.
Yeah, we load all of that onto the truck and we take it down to the next house.
And what we did now, since our blue is not in good, is not working, and the red is sometimes it's out, so we decided to
lunch.
you know, so we just hired a what do you call that, hand? A big truck down the road, and then they're gonna transfer it. So once the cladding, also some small bits, we just put it in the back of the truck, you know, in the red truck. But other stuff that is very heavy, we cannot put it in the red or in the blue because they're still in bad condition. You know, they're not cured yet.
They're still not working.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much. We're gonna start the work of house number 28. It just happened that today it's still the chainsaw guy doing the chainsaw, and tomorrow we're gonna transport the materials. So the Superman team is working in our swimming pool deck because we got 1 day budget.
That's it. We could just afford. We've taken out of my pension
1 day or
last
2
month.
days.
Took out of my pension last month, and we bought the wood that was needed to put an overhead cover on that part of the deck, which we wanted to have it on, so that we could have a sheltered area for meeting people. If people come, they can come up and sit there until we can get out and talk to them. So that's it from me. Thanks for looking in, and another update. Bye for now.